last night, my son asked me about the 1991 blizzard because he was learning about it in school. And he knew that I was alive then, so he was asking me about it. And I seem to recall it was very warm prior to the snowstorm in October. Is that accurate?
I've had no records from 1991.
Okay.
That reminds me of the Armistice Day story, because that was a bluebird, or I don't know if it was bluebird, but very warm.
Yes.
Very
What
warm.
I'm most interested in is, why is that being studied in school?
It came up.
Oh, they're not.
In
It's not part
classroom.
of a coursework.
No, I'm sure his teacher just said, "Hey, on this day, we had 3 feet of snow." Or whatever.
Unfortunately, things that we've lived through are now considered history.
Isn't that-
I hate that. I hate
I
that.
said, "I'll be right back. I gotta head over to the fridge."
Man first walked on the moon, and I'm like, yeah, we remember.
Mike, a proud member of the Royal Order of 21sters, and Winters, just a bit outside Phoenix, writes, I haven't emailed in a while. I've been busy. Yesterday, you again mentioned how the 1991 Halloween blizzard in the Twin Cities melted within a few days. Well, in Duluth, where we got hammered with nearly 40 inches of heavy wet snow, it lasted all winter. I broke out my trusty old Toro snowblower every time the snow reached a foot deep just to stay ahead of the storm. When it ended late the following day, the temp stayed below freezing and it all froze solid until spring. The streets all over the city were 1 or 2 lanes wide and as rough as a plowed field. Street side snowbanks were up to 5 feet tall, blocking all access to sidewalks and parking meters. I was working out of my downtown office at the time, and every day was a horrible commute until April. Worst winter ever in Duluth for me. Nothing like Halloween this year. Thankfully, now back just a bit outside Phoenix. Mike.
I do have an answer for Chris. The high temp on October 29th, 1991 was 65.
Oh, you were right.
I
But
thought
then
so.
it cooled off on the 30th to 32, and then the next day the blizzard hit. So yeah, within
Gotcha.
a 3-day period.
I
Wow.
have in my paws here the Garage Logic book, The Companion Guide to Life in the Radio Town. And I thought I would just review a bit of the chapter on Halloween.
Okay.
At my place last night, it was just benign as all get out.
Really?
Maybe 20 kids.
Oh my God. South St. Paul was hopping. We had cars going down. We had a traffic jam.
We had no cars.
0 cars.
Every kid who came was on foot. And we got a note today in an email that Frankie the fireman, or whatever the kid's name was, dressed up as a firefighter, he lost his axe,
Oh no!
his fire axe.
Is it a real one?
And we're all on the lookout for it.
Okay.
No, it was a toy one.
Okay, good.
And he's despondent that he lost his.
Oh,
Well, let's find. Let's track it down
Firefighting
for him.
guy.
I had the one neighbor. This was brilliant. He must have had 30 kids with him, right? And he's driving the golf cart.
Oh boy.
So in the back, where you'd put tools and whatever, that's where all the kids were dumping the loot.
Oh,
So they'd go staring off to the next neighborhood. I thought we walked by, and went, that is genius.
That's pretty damn good. My gutter worked again this year.
Yeah.
It was initially done due to COVID protocol,
Yeah.
but now kids just love it.
It's
You
tradition.
slide the thing down and
Yeah.
boom.
you're stingy, right? You give each kid one piece.
No, we give out like bags of potato chips, or I could not find ring pops this year.
I offered window service last night. I would
Ring
intercept a
pops.
kid walking up to the front door, and I'd knock on the garage window. I'd roll it open. I say, I have window service.
Drive
But I was reviewing the chapter on Halloween. It was one of my favorite chapters to write in the book. And we had a guy named Mr. Farrington in Garage Logic. You know what he gave out? Garage wood. Gave out pieces of wood to the kids, and there was a pile of wood. But the brunt of the Halloween chapter is that the kids in Garage Logic, they trick or treat in front.
Okay.
But then they go down the alleys, and all the GLers have their cylinders on display, an old outboard motor, or Model T Ford, or whatever.
Yep.
And so all these cowboys and pirates and hobos and ballerinas, they were going up and down.
They're appreciating the
down-
cylinders.
going up
Yeah.
and down the alley, and then at Farrington's house they could pick up blocks of wood Mr. Yu was one of the most terrorizing people in the neighborhood because he put on a Frankenstein mask and then drove his Shrine Circus Model T Ford that he barely fit in.
Yes.
And it was a very off-putting sight. It was very, very frightening. And what else did we do? A few residents put up a frightful routine. They had haunted disco music or tape loops of agonized ghosts and cackling witches.
Yeah.
Darlene did it right. Her Halloween was perfect. Every kid would take from Darlene's house a lasting impression and serve them just as tastefully as all the hardware they would collect in the alleys. That's the other thing the kids got in the alleys from all the GLers.
Yeah.
They got hardware. Nuts, bolts, washers, stuff
Well,
like that.
you never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah, they loved it.
Those
They
kids
loved
are
it.
very, I wouldn't be as welcoming of that as
Darlene dressed up as a witch, and she had a cane back chair, and she was stirring a black pot. And kids would approach her with a great deal of trepidation while she was softly humming something to herself. But that made it spookier that she was humming some unknown song because she wasn't raspy or threatening.
Okay.
And so that gave the kids a start. And she pretended not to see the kids when they came.
She pretended not to see the
When they got to
kids.
the front
Okay.
porch, she pretended not to see them. And the kids were clinging to each other. And slowly she turned her head to the door and smiled with blackened teeth, nodding that they should enter.
That's all that
Nodding that they
British
should
toothpaste,
enter.
huh?
Yeah. Oh, what a test of courage it was. Who would be the first? The three cowboys were weighted down with wheels, nuts, bolts, axles, and washers because they had come fresh from an alley.
Right.
So you get the hardware stuff there. She's got junior mints, one of the cowboys whispered.
Ooh.
Let's go in, whispered a second cowboy. Darlene played into their trepidation, giving her ladle a little flick so that more smoke from the dry ice made an apparition of goblins on the porch. And now these kids are trembling. I don't like junior mints, the third cowboy said. Children, the other two said. Oh, no, they said chicken. Finally, they summoned the courage to open the door. Two cowboys stepped through. They were only inches away from Darlene.
Yes.
All of you, Darlene whispered, meaning that third chicken. He had to come through the door. The third cowboy, wincing, squeezed through the door as if opening the door all the way would expose him to unimaginable horrors. Don't you wish this book was still available?
Yeah. I would write another one.
That's better, Darlene said, stirring the pot so that smoke swirled about her face. Trick or treat, they said. Give me a shot or two, Darlene said. They looked at each other dumbfounded. The cowboys pulled out their cap guns and fired, blew smoke from the barrels, and reholstered. You know what caps are, don't you, Darlene said. Yes, we do. Beginner fireworks. Very good, cowboys. Very good. Now take some candy and leave me with my brew. She started humming sweetly again as the cowboys raced down the yard to the safety of the street. Two pirates and a Cinderella were waiting. What she got, the kids said. Junior mints, the cowboys said, running the hardware jangling in their sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a hell of a
That
night.
paints a fun picture.
Yeah, because the alley stuff was fantastic. And every year in Garage Logic, what's given out in the alley is a tip-off to what the kids must build in time for the next Halloween. And this year was a chug. They were getting axles and rubber wheels and washers and scraps of wood from Farrington's garage. And they all knew it was a garage. They all knew the build that they were entrusted with was a chug.
Yeah.
What's that?
A chug.
It's a chug.
Don't you know what a chug
Little
is?
car.
No.
You built, when you were a kid, you built a frame with four wheels on it, and you steered it with your feet or clothesline rope.
A coaster cart.
Yeah, coaster car.
I've
chug.
never heard it called a chug.
Yeah,
And
chug.
the only reason I had Kenny is because I've heard Joe explain it before. Because I asked the same question years ago. Because I
We had
did not know what
We
it
had
was.
a hill, and every kid in town, they all had ropes on them, would drag those things up the hill and go rocketing down this really sharp hill with a jump on it.